My name is Mark. This is Zen Talk, and the topic is brainwashing. So, the truth almost everyone is brainwashed, a victim of gaslighting. You are also brainwashed and probably don't even know it. So, let's talk about gaslighting and why it's a brainwashing technique. So, gaslighting is a form of physical abuse where a person or a group makes someone question their sanity, perception, or reality, or even their own memories. And this is something that is probably coming at you 24/7 if you're watching TV or engaged in social media, or even have a cell phone that's connected to a data getting internet feeds. You're being gaslit. So, gaslighting definitely is a big component of the brainwashing process. And the brainwashing process is pressuring somebody into adopting a radically different beliefs or reality by using systematic or often forcible means. So, we'll talk more about this later as well. So, how do you know if you are brainwashed? So, the brainwashing sometimes it's also synonymous with being, we'll call it gaslighting. So you feel confused or even crazy. And you may even say, people will even say this, gosh, I feel I'm going crazy, or boy, I just ate a bunch of crazy pills. They really truly will verbally express the fact that they are going crazy. You stop trusting your own judgment, your beliefs and perception. You look around you and you kind of are in disbelief of what the world that you see, but you're also in kind of disbelief of what you even feel and see. So you're just you don't trust what you feel. You don't trust your beliefs. You don't trust your perceptions because you just don't know. You're like, it goes back to this part of feeling crazy. You find yourself apologizing, and for a lot of what you do and for who you are, you're behaving in a way that's probably far more rational and sane than you think you should, and you kind of apologize for it. You wonder if you are too sensitive, because your rationality and your morality is running up against this gaslighting, which is basically calling bullshit. And you're wondering, if you're too sensitive, but mostly your gut is just calling it out as you see it. And again, this goes back to the not trusting your own judgment, for apologizing, and because you feel crazy and confused. You create excuses for the gaslighter's behavior and actions. This is real big. Well, hey, they're the government, they know. Or, well, they have thousands of people that are studying this problem. Or, well, a million people can't be wrong, can they? And these are common excuses that people who are being gaslit will throw out there as to excuse the behavior of the people that are engaged in gaslighting. You can't seem to be happy even though you have so much. And this is a common thing I'm hearing is people, even though they have a nice house, nice life, nice cars, nice clothing, food to eat, a family around them, they're just really unable to be happy. And this goes back to this, everything above here is feeding into this because they're being induced to feel unhappy. Well, I have so much, but other people have so little. Um, and it's just this constant being bombarded by the gaslighting that the people who just can't feel happy. So you also don't feel that you are good enough anymore. This is the last part where all of this is designed to kind of make you feel downtrodden, to make you feel that you aren't good enough, to make you feel worthless, to make you feel unempowered. And that's the whole goal of gaslighting, is to depower you to the point where you become dependent upon the gaslighter for telling you what to do, and that is being brainwashed. All right, so let's say that you kind of agree that, well, maybe I am brainwashed, maybe I am a victim of gaslighting. So how do you undo the brainwashing? Well, basically, you cut the means that they use for the brainwashing and gaslighting. You have to, whatever means that they are using, whether it be a physical location such as a school or a church or some meeting place, or if it's more virtual, like through the internet, through your cell phones, or through magazines and things like that, or papers. You cut those means, which is you stop receiving them, you stop looking at them, you stop going to those places. Look at what they do, not want you to look at. Find out for yourself the truth. And a lot of times, they will have enemies that they will finger. You know, they will say, well, this person over here, he's crazy. This person over here is you can't look at. And generally, these would be people that are censored, people that are, public enemy number one, according to the gaslighters. So why are these people public enemy number one? Find out for yourself. Find out what's the truth of the whole situation. Look within to bring out all of the conditionings, the phobias, the wrong information, and the nonsensical beliefs told to you. And this is really important, the looking within, because you will find a lot of conditioned responses that are not yours. They were put there by somebody else, a faux outrage, a phobia that you've never had, wrong information that was fed to you, and of course just illogical and nonsensical beliefs that were told to you that the gaslighters were tending to tell you that this is so, but they had no proof or no rationality to even spread these beliefs. And lastly, you got to find people who are not brainwashed and openly talk to them about your brainwashing and gaslighting views. Because a lot of times, those that are not brainwashed can quickly point out what is brainwashing, your brainwashed views and your gaslit views, so that you can be helped to recognize them as they come up and then defeat them. So you have to renounce the brainwashing and all those who are engaged in the gaslighting methods. That's the only way. So my story is, yes, I was brainwashed. I was a victim of gaslighting, of cultural religion and national politics. If you live in America and you're engaging in popular society, which is you're watching the television, you're going to the movies, you're reading the news, you are listening to popular music, you are being gaslit and you are brainwashed. Let's just get that said and out there. It's a very rare person that can actually be involved in the current culture and not be brainwashed. Most people, I would say probably 99.99% of people are brainwashed. And if you will see this for yourself once you have undone enough brainwashing. So the gaslighting is constant out there, and it's in our cultural religion, which is nothing but gaslighting and brainwashing, and our national politics, which is even more so. So I was led to believe and think many things that were just not so. And through meditation and digging out all of the conditioning and the phobias, I was able to identify the gaslighting and apply reason and rationality to them to dissolve the bonds of mind control. So this is the big one right here. This is how I did it. And this is how you can do it too, through meditation, which is mostly you are centering yourself in your mind. You're not into any extremes. And then you look at all of the conditioning. And conditioning means a response that was put there by somebody else. You were told to be outraged when X happens. You were told to do this when Y happens, and when you see Z, you're supposed to do this. It's all conditioning. And the phobias, which is a false fear of something that never happened to you, it's not something that you ever had an experience with, but you have a fear of it happening because somebody told you it was bad, that you don't want this. So, and then you can start to identify those gaslighting elements. And by identifying them, bringing them out, and then applying reason and rationality as to, well, what is this? You dissolve the bonds of mind control. You realize that you've been a fool. And it's admitting the fact that you've been fooled and brainwashed and gaslit is really the part of undoing it all. Only when the bonds dissolve can one begin to hear the Dharma of the Buddha. And this was true for me, in that the Dharma of the Buddhas can definitely is being spoken to you, but all of the brainwashing, all of the gaslighting is like a constant noise or a distraction, or it's distorting things. And if it's a cultural religion brainwashing, or national politics that are constantly being blasted at you, the Dharma of the Buddha is still there, but it's either drowned out or just so distorted you can't recognize it. All right, some next steps here. So the first step is always the hardest, which is to cut the means of the brainwashing and gaslighting, because nothing else can be done till this happens. The remaining steps are far easier once the first step is completed. There is no backsliding that's going on. So the first step, cutting the means of the brainwashing and the gaslighting. A lot of times in our current culture, this is the TV. That's it. That's the brainwashing. The TV is a number one brainwashing and gaslighting. In order to cut the brainwashing and the gaslighting, you have to turn it off. The second one is the internet, which is your cell phone, which is kind of becoming now the number one way of keeping the gaslighting going. And this is, you got to cut these means, you got to turn them off. And it doesn't mean you have to be away from them forever. It just means you got to be away from them right now. And so until you do this, and nothing else can happen. So you got to watch out for backsliding, which is to you turn it off. And remember, it's like an addiction that once you cut something, it takes about 10 days to kind of get over the addicted mindset. And if you can cut these means for 10 days and not backslide, you can pretty much make it. But it's being aware of backsliding within those 10 days. You got to find people who have freed themselves from the brainwashing and gaslighting and talk to them. That is, I'm not talking about like a 12-step group, because there really is no group out there talking about how brainwashed they are and how to get out of it. And it's just not happening. But there are people out there who have freed themselves, and you'll meet them from time to time. And they will present themselves to you, and they will tell you flat out exactly why you are brainwashed and how it's being done to you. And they may have already told you that, but so go seek them, go find them, go talk to them, because they can really help you out. And make a commitment to the path of the Buddha, for the Dharma will fix the void left by the brainwashing, the gaslighting, and prevent any future violations of others upon yourself. Being brainwashed is a real thing. And a lot of people go through their entire lives and they do not know they are brainwashed. They do not know that they are victims of gaslighting. They think that they are normal. They think that they are just fine. And when in fact they are not. They behave in ways that is contrary to their own interest. They do things detrimental to themselves despite the logic that says they should do the opposite. They behave in ways that seem to be irrational and illogical, but yet to them, it seems normal. This is pretty much how the world works right now. Um, and this is something that you yourself can identify in others, maybe without realizing that you are also brainwashed and a victim of gaslighting. For myself, it was painful to go through a process of cutting all of their means to gaslight me. It was painful to dig out all of the false ideas, all of the phobias and conditioning, and all of the narratives that were illogical and nonsensical that were fed to me as truth. Cultural religion is often nothing close to what the academic religion would be. So, for an example, cultural Christianity is not at all anything like academic Christianity. The cultural religious churches really get into their own funk. They really get into their own way of looking at things, which is not even really supported in the very Bible that they claim to be teaching out of. And you get into this gaslit kind of environment where the brainwashing is applied to you. And this is also being done through local religion is where it kind of starts, and it starts you at a very young age, where they bring you to the church, and parents go upstairs to the sanctuary, and children go downstairs to the Sunday school, where it's 2-3 hours of brainwashing, and it's to the just whatever the local cultural religion, which mostly in America is Christian, in that location happens to believe. And then outside of that, you're being brainwashed by the TV into their politics, whatever political view that they ever happen to be subscribing at or pushing at the moment. And they use a lot of gaslighting, which is fake outrage, bringing up a situation that claiming it's terrible and bad, or these people over here are terrible and bad, or this person or these people are saying things that are just terrible and bad. And it doesn't, you're being told that these are terrible and bad, and these stories and these situations are being spun and hyped up in emotional ways to convey to you, maybe at a subliminal level of how terrible and bad they are. So this is something that after a while, at first you may think these people are you might not be aware of what's going on, and these people seem to be acting crazy about some situation, but then later on, you just kind of accept it. And then you think, well, I guess that situation they were talking about was terrible and bad. This is what, in the political scene, what happens. And it also goes in the corporate levels, too, where you are being, constantly bombarded to buy products or buy things that you probably don't want and would probably never buy in a otherwise state. Look at the foods that we eat, complete garbage. These are things that are going to shorten your life and cause you a great deal of health issues, but yet we eat them. And look at the way that we live at certain times, the way that we do things, which is completely contrary to rationality and reason, but yet we do them. So these are things that happens to a brainwashed people in a brainwashed society, is we just end up going crazy. And we do crazy things, and we do things that are contrary to our best interest. So this is where you, as a spiritual seeker, have to really understand that walking the path of the Buddhas, walking a spiritual path, is really not possible as long as you are in a brainwashed state. If you are being gaslit constantly and you are being brainwashed, and their gaslighting is reinforcing that brainwashing, there's no way you're going to make any progress on the spiritual path. And that was my experience with dealing with young men and women that would come to the monastic centers and the Zen centers, was that they were so brainwashed. I could hear them crying for help me, help me, help me. Somebody reach out and with a hand and pull me out of this. And we tell them, stop watching TV, stop going to the movies, stop reading popular magazines, stop talking to other brainwashed people, because it's doing is reinforcing the brainwashing. And for those that can actually do it, there was some progress. But for most people, they would hear the message, they would try, 3-4 days later, they break down and run back to the TV. Oh, I can't miss my favorite episode. Oh, I can't miss my favorite sci-fi program. I can't. It's an addiction. That's what happens. When I was in the monastic center, deep in the valleys of the, Los Padre Mountains, and, people would show up, and for 2 weeks, about 2 weeks after they showed up, and there's no TV out there, and this is before cell phones and the internet, for about 2 weeks, people would talk TV. They would talk about their TV shows. They would talk about what they saw. They would talk about funny episodes they liked, about TV stars, about movie stars, about what books they read. And these were all the popular, junk books or junk magazines. And then after about 2 weeks, that kind of talk would start tapering off. And it was about 10 days. And some would want to leave. Oh, well, it's been 10 days. And they want to go back and watch TV. They felt unnerving. They felt something was missing. And a lot of people would go to the teachers and the senior students saying, well, I really feeling something was wrong, really feeling something was missing, lacking in their life. But it was the TV, that was what was lacking. So those that remained, those that actually could stay, or who remained, you started to see a lot of the beliefs that they formerly held, a lot of the gaslighting slowly start eroding away, slowly start being cast off. And their true personalities themselves started to assert itself again, maybe for the first time in decades. And then you can actually start to have real conversations, real discussions could start happening. Like I said, about 2 weeks is about what it takes to get there. So about 2 months, 3 months into this, things start to get really interesting, where people start breaking down to realizing how they've been brainwashed and how the gaslighting has so affected and destroyed most of their lives. And they realize that the complete insanity and nonsensical beliefs that people fall into because of the gaslighting is extremely destructive and not there for your best interest. And how, if these things were not there, how better society would be, how better behaved people would be, and how we would be far more advanced. We'd already be to the stars and beyond if it was not for this crippling controlling brainwashing that is placed on everybody. And then after about 4 to 5 months of being in the monastic centers, people get over the fact that they've been brainwashed, and they get over the fact that they've been gaslit. And there's the anger over it subsides, and they are really, for the first time, listening to the Dharma of the Buddhas. Really, for the first time, they seem to be able to get it. And then maybe about a year into the monastic situation, where you're being totally cut off from all TV, radio, cell phones, whatever, maybe then you'll have that spark of awakening, that aha moment, that moment where you see the Buddha nature with sparkling crystal clear eyes. Just maybe. Right, well, thank you for watching my video on brainwashing. I know it's a short video and I didn't get into all the technical and all of the various levels of what brainwashing can actually be. I'll probably cover that in a later video. And we'll see you next time.